this be weird for the thumbnail? Yeah, that's weird. Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Emily Crow from Crochet Creations, and I'm so excited to have you. This is episode 28 of my podcast. It's been a while. I'm kind of falling into a routine of doing a podcast once a month to kind of catch up on everything that happened and to kind of refresh and restart for the next month. Things are going to be getting busy for me. So it has been a while and I have quite a few things to share with you. So let's get right into it. First things first, I'm wearing a hat indoors. I don't normally do that, but this is my new pattern, the Wonderland Hat. And I have all sorts of samples here to show you in my finished objects section. But I wanted to wear this hat because today is the pattern release day for this pattern. If you have not been following me on Instagram, which is at Crochet Creations, then you might not know that I had this design in the works. I had this idea for this design after I made the Wonderland sweater last fall. Yeah, it was last fall. I really wanted to make this hat, and so while I was on a trip to see my family this past month, I brought the yarn for it and I just played around and I went to town, wrote up this pattern, had a few testers, and now the pattern is live today. So links are down below so that you can check it out if you are so inclined. It is available on Etsy and Ravelry. I'm so excited. I really love this pattern. After grading the Wonderland sweater and working with the test editor and doing all that, it was really tricky, honestly. It stretched me a lot design-wise, whereas this hat was just really fun to do. I did my swatching, I made my sample, I made another sample in another size, I did some math, I figured out how much slouch I wanted. It all just fell together really easily, and it was much simpler than making a sweater, and so it was way fun to actually design. Makes me want to maybe design more hats in the future. The Wonderland hat pattern has now been released, and there should be a discount that you can find that's automatic if you go on Ravelry or on Etsy, so make sure to check that out. But I'm getting kind of warm, so I'm probably gonna take this off. Also, my cardigan is not handmade, it's from Old Navy, and again, I'm getting warm, so I'm gonna take it off. All right, so like I said, I have lots of finished objects to share with you today. We will start with the biggest category, if that's right. I have a whole bunch of Wonderland hats that I want to show you. I kind of went crazy with this pattern, and honestly, I'm not sick of it yet, and so I will probably make some more with some stash yarn I have. What's really cool about this pattern, I'll show you on this version because it's a little easier to see, I think. You see the wrong side of half double crochet, and so you can see like the third loop kind of giving us a cool horizontal texture. And then I did the Wonderland stitch pattern, which is like a split puff texture detail for the brim. Kind of gives it more weight on the bottom, more thickness to cover the ears, etc., etc. It is worked in the round, crocheted with worsted weight yarn. And so it's honestly a really quick make. I could make each of these in just an evening, and especially the like little ones for little kiddos. The pattern is sized from newborn all the way up through adult large, so everyone can have a Wonderland hat. So I made lots. My first sample was this one out of Wool of the Andes worsted in the color Lake Ice Heather, and this is actually leftover from my Wonderland sweater. So I used less than 2 skeins. So I pretty much used up all of the leftovers I had. I just have a couple little scraps left from my sweater. And I made it slouchy. Now this ended up being, I made a hat that I thought would fit myself. It's a little bit tight on my head where it's not comfortable to wear long term. And when I did all the math to figure out sizing and doing the different size ranges, this ends up coming to like a child size hat. And my head is on the smaller side, so sometimes I do wear child size hats, so it checks out. But I ended up finding that this was a little bit too tight for me to wear comfortably long term. And you want a hat to fit snug, but you don't want it to like noticeably be too snug. I knew I needed to make a different hat. So this is like my first sample, so it's not ideal. It's a little bit too small For a child size hat, it's a little bit longer of a slouch than I ended up writing within my pattern. The next hat I made, just to try out another size, was this newborn size, and it is still a slouchy fit. So cute and little, like, and that's a slouchy. So imagine if it wasn't slouchy, it would be like that tall. It's so cute and little, oh my goodness. So I think I'm gonna start a basket of baby gifts to be able to give out to friends and relatives and things that have babies, and this will go straight in there. I used some more of that pink yarn, and I'm surprised I used up the whole skein. I had barely used it, and so I was like, I'll just work on this, and I used it all up, which feels really nice. I made a toddler version for Georgia. She is 2 years old, and again, it is a slouchy fit, super, super cute with the same pink yarn. It's like loops and threads impeccable in some soft pink. I don't remember. It was a stash yarn, and I like loops and threads impeccable. It's a really good worsted weight acrylic yarn that I like to use with amigurumi and other crochet things. It was nice to use it up, and also that I have a very machine washable and durable hat for Georgia. And then my last sample that I just finished, this is for me, and this is in adult small. So it is a little bit bigger than my child size, so it fits great on my head. And I ended up making a fitted version. You'll see the height difference. Ta-da! And I include both versions within the pattern so that you can figure out your height. Though something I just realized is you can have the brim folded up, which is the original style of the hat, or you can fold the brim down, and then it can be a slouchy beanie. And I feel like it's the perfect slouch too. So maybe you don't even need to do the slouchy fit with the brim folded up. You can just do a fitted fit and then unfold the brim when you want it to be slouchy. I'm not sure. Let me know what you would do. But I think that was kind of like a fun thing to discover. But I do really like it as like a fitted beanie too. It almost looks like the proportions are off, but it fits me perfectly. I think it's just I'm so used to a slouchy beanie that seeing a fitted beanie just looks a little bit different. This yarn is a new yarn I purchased while I was visiting my family in New York. It's Plymouth Yarn Homestead Tweed in the color burgundy. And I've talked about tweed. I don't necessarily like tweed because I don't like the little neps falling off, but I love the visual texture of tweed. And I had a good experience working with this. I don't think there's too much tweed. I don't think that the tweed is falling out too much as I pick up piece off of it. Honestly, I had a good experience working with this tweed. I love this hat. I love the color. It is so fun and squishy. I love how versatile it is and being able to be fitted and slouchy. I might make a version without the brim to just make a simple half double crochet beanie and see how I like it, but the fit's been great. I really love it. I had a great time writing the pattern and designing it, and I still want to make more. So I feel like that's a great sign for this pattern that I'm not sick of it after designing and making 4 different hats of it. So that is my big Wonderland hat pattern pile. And I want to make some mitts. I'll show them to you in the whip section, but I really haven't finalized the mitts, and they were definitely being a bit trickier than a hat. So those will be coming eventually, probably, hopefully. Another hat, because we're on the hat train, that I finished is my muscle burra. Now this is a stripy muscle burra, and I'm really excited about this. This is using Desert Vista Dye Works yarn for their monthly sock club thing. Basically, you knit or crochet. Can you crochet? I think you have to knit. You knit a pair of socks, a hat, 2 pairs of shorty socks. You basically use up most of a skein of yarn per month. And when you do so, you can get coupon codes and even win free skeins of yarn, etc., etc. I didn't want to hold myself to the commitment to make something every single month. I did that for the last 6 months of 2022, and I didn't want to give myself that pressure. But I wanted to be able to make something if I wanted to, and then get some coupon codes. I thought that would be really fun. So I told myself that if I wanted to, I could work on something. And I wanted to do something different than a sock, and I wanted to make a hat. So I made this, and oh my goodness, it's a lot of knitting compared to a pair of socks for me. So oof, I think I may need a break from muscle burras, but I'm really excited about it. I love these colors. they're coming up a little bit more intense. They're a little bit more blendy and almost like watercolory in person. I made the child/adult small size for this hat. I made an adult medium last year because my head circumference was right in the middle of the two sizes. And I thought, oh, I like a child size, might be too small. No, like knit fabric stretches a lot. So I should have gone down because my other muscle burra is just too loose. I really like a snug fit on my hat. And so going down to a child size, I think it fits great. A little bit slouchy, but not like super slouchy. I just have a small head in general. And so the child/adult small size is perfect for me, I think. Really happy about that. And I didn't necessarily worry about folding up the brim and making sure it was still a good fit because I intend to wear this slouchy. I love the colors and I thought that this would be nice in like a more subtle stripy hat. Who knows if it's more subtle, but because all the colors are kind of within one color palette rather than, I feel like some stripy yarns have a couple different pops of color and this is not as much of that. It's more of like, these are all kind of blues and grays together. So I really like this hat, though it was a lot of knitting. It was perfect for taking with me on the go and having in the car on long trips because I could just go round and around and around and around and around. I think I'm done with hats for now. I need a little break. I do think I will knit for the February monthly sock club, but I'm waiting on some yarn, so I'm not sure. I do have a couple skeins already from Desert Vista Dyeworks I could break into, but I placed an order with them and I'm planning on making socks for my sister-in-law. And so I want to make her some fun stripy socks, some little shorties. I want to try the Journey socks pattern. And so I have some yarn picked out for that. So I'm hoping it comes before too long. It's supposed to come like, I think, middle of February. So I'm like, I can knit shorties in the second half of February, right? I can knit 2 pairs of shorty socks in February, like for the second half of the month. That's my plan. Other things, trying to get through this pretty quick because I feel like there's lots to share because it's been so long. I had lots of grand plans for January and most of them didn't come to fruition because I got sidetracked. But I'll share with you some plans that happened. So I finished my brother's second stroll sock. So this is using Stroll Tonal in the color Train Station. It pulled differently on this sock compared to this sock, but it's fine. I hope they fit him. I actually did an 80 stitch count sock, which feels really big, but I tried to base it off of his measurements. And all 3 of my other family members whose socks I made for Christmas, their socks fit them well based on their measurements. So I hope that this works. If not, it'll be like a little bit more of a cozy house sock rather than like a wear in the shoe sock. It's like a little bit loose, but we'll see. I have been meaning to mail this to my brother because I didn't get to see him for Christmas, but I really want to make his cat some little kitten mittens, some little booties, so that they match as like an inside family joke, because that's what my brother thought I was doing, was making socks for his cat instead of socks for him. But I figured I would make both since I have more yarn left over, but I have not made those yet, so I should probably start that. I just don't have sock needles roaming around. I have a couple socks on the needles that I'll show you, but then also I broke a cord late last year and I haven't replaced it, so I need more sock needles, I think. I'm working on other things before I work on the kitten mittens, but I should do that quick because that was a Christmas gift and it is currently February 1st. And then I finished my spruce socks. If you can see that texture. This is the spruce socks pattern by Originally Lovely, and I have modified it to put this tree motif on the top of an ankle sock rather than on the side of the leg for a regular calf size sock. Yay! I used the toe and heel is Back by Meza Makes, and this like variegated beigey with some speckles in it. This is Woolbury Fiber Co. in the color Vintage Ornament. So some high contrast Christmassy socks. I had finished my husband's and my daughter's pairs, and then I ran out of yarn for my socks and I ran out of time for my socks. So I've just been leisurely working on my Christmas Eve socks, but I finished them. And actually now I'm going back and I am updating my family socks. So George's seem a little short, so I'm going to add a little bit of length in the foot. And then for my husband's, I'm just switching out the toe and making it in this vintage ornament color to kind of tie the socks in a little bit better. I do like it better without the fun toe, but I didn't have enough yarn and I just want things to be a little bit more cohesive. So I figured I would put some vintage ornament on his toes. So I did one, and I have one more to do for him, and then I need to lengthen my daughter's socks. So that's kind of the plan. So yes, Christmas socks are still a work in progress theoretically, but since I already finished my husband's and my daughter's socks, I don't think I'm gonna show them here when they're actually done, but I decided to show you mine because like they're actually finished. For my husband's and my daughter's, I'm just gonna like update them and kind of fix the socks, but they're already done. One reason I got super sidetracked, probably the biggest reason I got super sidetracked in January from the things I was thinking I was gonna make, was because I signed up for a lot of test knits. Oops. So here is one that I've done one sock for, and that's what was required for the test knit. There is another sock that I still need to make, and I barely cast it on. Oh, I guess this isn't a finished object. We'll talk about that later. So one test knit that I have finished is the Candy Mountain Mitts. And this is a pattern by Gajillion. I can't remember her name. It's French. Twin Stitches Designs. This is the Candy Mountain Mitts. Super cute. I made the taller size. When I made Georgia her hat, she really wanted pink mittens, and I ran out of yarn for pink mittens in the same yarn as the hat, but I pulled from my stash and grabbed some pink-ish colors to make these Candy Mountain Mitts. Super cute. She really loves them, and they're really cute on her. These worked up really fast. It is like a left and right mitten, so they are mirrored from each other, but the color work was not hard. It was really satisfying and fun to do, a great way to work up some scraps. And she has a couple other patterns that use the same texture. It was a fun little testing experience to do. Probably shouldn't have signed up for another test knit, but I did. It's all worked out so far. I've met all my deadlines so far, but I have more deadlines to meet soon that I think I can do. Kind of went a little bonkers. So let's talk about some more test knits in my whip section. Okay, let's get back to the sock. This is the Heart Explosion sock pattern by Alendria Knits. Look at those hearts. They are so cool. This pattern is completely charted, and it's got a left and a right sock so that the hearts are mirrored from each other. There is so much charting for this pattern for the different sizes. I am super impressed. And honestly, there were hardly any issues within the test with the pattern itself. It was very well written. And sometimes that's not true when you're testing a pattern. Sometimes it's got lots of issues. So it was really a pleasure to test. And I worked on the sock a lot while I was in New York visiting my family. The yarn. This is Cascade Heritage sock yarn. I think the color is called like Iron Forge or Coal or something like that. It's like a charcoal gray. It's honestly a really beautiful dark gray color, and I feel like the tone fits the other yarn very well. This is Woolbury Fiber Co. in the color Shop Around the Corner. I'm happy with this sock. I learned how to do a new technique called, we've been calling it LBJ in the test chat, not the president. It's like a ladder back jacquard for doing the floats. So instead of catching your floats, basically you knit, oh, that's like a loose float. What in the world? That's so long. How did I not catch that? So basically you knit another layer behind the stitch in front, if that makes sense. So let's see if I can find a good example where you can kind of see a little bit. You can see it pretty well right here. So there's like, you see all those knit stitches in the contrast color, that pink variegated? That's the LBJ technique. So basically you're knitting a layer of fabric behind in order to catch the floats, and then you like knit your front fabric to be seen. So there's a couple parts on here where you can see where I like tried to close it up, and so you can see like a little bit of float right there, but overall it's a much cleaner look than if I was just catching my floats for an Oliver Color Perk sock. So it was really cool to learn a new technique. Yeah, it was really interesting to learn, and it's cool to see how it played out in action. I do feel like my tension is not perfect on this. I would like to improve my tension on this sock, though I feel like overall it is pretty good, but it's not perfect. And so for the second sock, I plan to knit it more inside out. I was having an issue trying to knit it inside out as recommended within the pattern. And so I just gave up, and I was like, I'm doing two things at once. Like, let me just simplify. I'll just do the LBJ for doing my floats, and I'm not gonna worry about knitting inside out. But I'm gonna try to knit inside out for the second sock. And so it might take a few rounds to like establish knitting it inside out without my sock flipping back out. But by doing so, the floats travel a little bit longer through the outside circumference of the sock versus the inside circumference of the sock. And so it helps make those floats looser. So I think it'll help, especially with like, it's not laddering because it's like a little puckering where I had my magic loop needle. So that's the plan. I'm on the cuff of my second sock. So let's see, where is that? As far as the second sock, I've just started the cuff. I've got a couple rounds, and I did switch to some 9-inch circulars to also see if that'll make a difference with my tension. I like magic loop because there's more space on the needles to spread everything out to stretch out those floats. But then you get like some puckering at the corners where you have the magic loop. It's harder to deal with that. So I'm switching up a couple things to see how the tension goes, and I will keep you updated. I would love to finish this pair by Valentine's Day, but I don't know if that is possible. We shall see. Another test knit that I volunteered for that I probably shouldn't have, but I could not restrain. This is the Hearth Sock by Northwoods Knit Co. But they have a collection coming out. It should be out today, I think, when you are seeing this. I think it comes out on Friday. And it's got this cute little cable detail, twisted stitches, some garter ridges. It's just a really fun texture, and it's been honestly super fun to do. And I love, love, love this yarn. This is Red Door Fiber Studio in the color, it's Found Family Sock Set. So I can't remember what the mini is called, but Found Family is the main color, and it is so beautiful. Oh, I love my tension for this pattern. I don't know what it is about this yarn that like I feel like my tension is really, really even, and it's been really fun to knit. Sorry, my needles keep hitting the desk and making a noise. I apologize. But I'm getting pretty far in the foot. My goal is today to finish the foot, and I mean the toe will be super quick, so maybe I'll even finish the toe. But if not, I'll finish the toe tomorrow, and then I can get my notes in. Again, really well written pattern. This designer has lots of different sock sets, and they also design their patterns toe up and cuff down, so you can try out both. So super fun. I really like testing for her. I think her name's Carly. Yeah, I think her name's Carly. I tested another pattern for her last year, the hike socks, and it's just been fun. I really enjoy it. And I love this combination of the yarn and the pattern. It's just really fun to knit. Honestly, I might finish the second sock of this before I finish the second sock of this one, just because this one's a much more slow pattern for me to knit, whereas this is basically car knitting. Like, I can take it with me. There are cables, and I have not mastered cables without a cable needle. So I still need a cable needle, but that's like every 4 rounds, and it's only on the front, and so I just make do. And it's worked out well enough for me. Okay, the very last pattern that I am pattern testing, I've got lots of pattern tests going on right now. The very last pattern that I want to show you is a pattern by Tiff Nealon. It's the Split Decision Pullover, and what really caught my eye that made me want to test this is the asymmetrical collar detail. I'll show a picture right here so you can see what it's supposed to look like, because I'm not there yet, and I loved it. There's also this really cool texture on the hem, but that's not what drew me in. It was really the collar. I just thought it was so funky, so cool. It was a classic looking sweater with a couple details that just made it feel really unique and like something you wouldn't necessarily find in a store. And that's honestly where my style is. I love classic pieces with a little bit of something different. I worked on this pattern for like a week and here we are. Oh, I have a straggler. Okay. But I honestly haven't worked on this in like a week and a half because I've had other test knits with shorter deadlines. And this has been working up really quickly. Ta-da! But I have the whole body done, including the hem at the bottom. And I've picked up my stitches for one sleeve and I have not done anything since then. But this is a week's worth of knitting. It is DK weight. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, these needles. It is DK weight held double. And so I went and purchased some yarn from Harmony, which is one of my local yarn stores. This is Malabrigo Arroyos in the colors Neverland, which is like this pink color, pink tone, and then Tranquilo, which is this like purple to pink tonal. I don't need another purple sweater, but I'm making one anyway. I'm so excited. This is the cool bottom detail. It's a herringbone stitch. It was really funky because I needed to go up to like a size US 15 needle, which was huge compared to like a US 10.5, I think is what I used on the body. I couldn't find a tutorial when I was first starting this that was exactly what I was looking for, but the written instructions were well written enough that between watching a video tutorial of someone doing something similar and looking at the written instructions from the designer, I was able to do it just fine. She does recommend that you put in a lifeline before you start so that you can make sure to have somewhere to go back to if you mess it up, but I didn't have any issues with it. And she also has created her own tutorials that I think would be a perfect match for the pattern. So you don't have to wonder. It has a split hem in the front. And so it's worked in rows, and it was honestly really fun to do. It's really squishy, and I feel really proud of myself for doing something new. I do need to get this worked on. I think it's due on the 13th, so I gotta work on my sleeves and stuff. But because I have 2 out of 4 tests, the deadlines have been met, they're good. I have my sock test that is almost good. Once that is done, then I'm gonna pick this up again, and I think I'm gonna breeze through the sleeves. I really wish I had 9-inch circulars to do the sleeves on, because I know those would go a lot faster, but I only have magic loop. I did not find any 9-inch circulars when I went to the yarn store, at least in these ginormous size needles. That's fine, I'll make it work. And it'll just be like a little bit longer of a process. I feel like 9-inch circulars go really fast, especially when you're just going round and around constantly without having to stop and like change direction or do a different stitch pattern or whatnot. I did a lot of work on this when I was in New York, but it'll definitely be finished the next time you see me. The last whips. This one is kind of a painful one. So I'm trying to work on mittens for the Wonderland like stitch pattern. Okay, this is my first mitten, and I'm trying to do fingerless mittens as well as convertible mittens and full mittens. This is my first iteration, but it's a little bit tall. You know, like it's a little bit tall. It should be a little shorter. This should probably be a little shorter. I love the look of the Wonderland stitch pattern on the cuff. I think it'll look really cute. But then I thought, you know what? I'm gonna make a full length mitten. Then I made this one, and you'll be like, huh, that's weird. Other than being tangled up in yarn. It's really long. That's because when I first made this, I made it to fit on my hand. I realized that with wear and like pulling it on and off, it's stretching out a ton this way, because that's how crochet stretches, is vertically. You know, the stitches are going around this way, vertical stretch, whereas knitting stretches more horizontally. It does stretch vertically too, but so like I have a lot of extra fabric. So back to the drawing boards. I started another mitten, and I think I was just discouraged, so I didn't make any more progress on that one. I do have more yarn left, so I should be good, and I'm definitely gonna rip this out once I figure out how to do it. I'm honestly really excited because I am really proud of this thumb gusset, and I'm really happy with how it fits with like stitch counts and decreasing for the thumb gusset, for the cuff. Like I'm really happy with everything except the length. So I got to figure out how much it grows this way and stretches so that I can make sure that it fits well. Because this is like a freaky alien hand. It used to fit my hand, but it's just, it's embarrassing. So I need to work on that, but I've been working on the hat pattern, and then I've been working on all these test knits. So I just set this aside and was like, you know what, this headache, I'll figure out later. And then I need to grade it for multiple sizes. So it'll take a while. I honestly don't know if I'll finish it this month in February because life's getting really busy. So it may come next fall. Who knows? That would give me plenty of time to work on it, I guess. Thank you for being with me. I have quite a few acquisitions, and part of that is because it's been a month, and part of that is because I went home for Christmas, belated Christmas. I mentioned previously that I was not able to be in New York for Christmas because of weather stuff and airline stuff going on, but we were able to go visit my family midway through January. We just moved our flights back and we were able to spend some time with my family, which was really, really good. I'm glad we were able to do that, though I do not recommend being there in January because there's nothing to do. The weather is crummy. At least for Christmas time, you have Christmassy things to do with your time to fill it, to make up for like having crummy weather. I definitely like visiting my family in the summer more because you can get out of the house more and go out and do things, though we were able to do some fun things, but we'll get to that later. So I got some fun Christmas yarn things from my family, and also from a trip that I went with my mom to a local yarn store up there called Have You Any Wool. And I had just a couple packages come in the mail, so I have plenty to show you. I have laid everything out. So many fun yarns. So many fun things to try, which is really something I like. Trying new yarns and trying new brands and just experimenting with fibers and just seeing how the experience is different now that I'm comfortable in my knitting and crochet. It's just really fun to branch out and try something a little bit different and see if maybe you love it. In my stocking, my mom got me some Arcane Fiberworks, which was a new company to us. And then when my mom saw them, she was like, oh, I love these colors. It almost makes me want to like pay for shipping from Canada. And it's either like free US shipping also, like they do free shipping for Canada, but I think they do free shipping for US, or like the order threshold is a really low amount to get to free shipping for US. So I'm like, Mom, it's basically free. You should just buy it. And so she bought a bunch for herself and she bought some for me and stuck them in my stocking. So this is Wither Bloom Crystal. She has one of these as well. Such a pretty color. If I'm gonna cast something on soon from this haul, it's gonna be this for sure because it's just, I'm feeling the winter vibes. She also got me, oh, Christmas tree. So pretty. I would love to see this worked up with the grays and like the more subtle like greens in there and like reds. There's some lighter sections to offset the red and the green. I just think it'll be really pretty. And then this one, Autumn Drive. So moody and beautiful. I love it. So that'll be really nice to work up. And I've not had their yarn before, but their website is just so beautiful to look at, all their different inspiration photos, and they nail their transition from the inspiration photo to the actual yarn. It's amazing. So I would definitely see myself buying more yarn from them. My mom also gave me an extra skein of this that she got from a friend, and so she was just passing it along. This is called Rewa Fibers. They're bloom base. It's the color Poppy. It is 50% Tibetan yak down and 50% silk. So it feels super luxurious. It's super drapey. This is a 50-gram skein. Rewa means hope in Tibetan, so I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. It's so luxurious. It is a lace weight, so I'm not sure what I'll make with it, but my mom didn't know what she would make with it, and she decided to share some with me because maybe we'll figure it out. I don't know, but she has some of this from a friend left over, and so I thought I would snag a little something new to try. I don't know what to make out of that. 50 grams of lace weight. So if you have any ideas, it would be beautiful for like maybe a little like lace ascot, or I don't really know what else because it's only 50 grams, so it's not a ton. And it doesn't have like a halo as much as like other yarns might, so I don't know if I would benefit from holding this with something else. I kind of want to just have it by itself. Then we went to Have You Any Wool, which is in Amherst, I think, New York, and got lots of new sock yarns to try. I already showed you my Wonderland hat that I made with a skein that I bought, but I also bought some other things. I say I bought. My mom paid for them, which was so sweet of her to just jump in and pay for my yarn. Yay, thanks, Mom. So I got the Alpaca Yarn Company Pacapeds, which is alpaca, wool, and nylon blend, which is really interesting. This color is called Wood Nymph, which is really pretty. You can see there's like a little, maybe you can see, there's a little bit more of a halo than normal sock yarn from the alpaca. I think these would be really warm with the alpaca. Yeah, just a really interesting sock base that's intended for socks themselves, not just a sock weight yarn. So that was really interesting. I also got Megs & Co. BFL sock, which I didn't read, but it's 100% BFL or blue-faced Leicester. And so no nylon in it, but people do make socks out of 100% wool. So maybe I'll try that. This is actually a local dyer from Fairport, New York. This color is called The Walrus and the Carpenter. So beautiful. It really caught my eye. So I think this would also be good for like a shawl or something like that. I'm not quite sure what I'll make with this. I was thinking I was gonna do socks, and then I realized it doesn't have any nylon, so I might still do that because BFL is a hardier wool, but I have not decided. And then my last yarn from that trip, this is by Lana Grossa, Meilenweit Merino. It's a sock base, 80% virgin wool and 20% polyamide. It came with 2 little skeins, so I can make matching socks. It's kind of hard to tell, but I think it might stripe a little bit. I don't know, we'll have to see how it cakes up, but I think it's really pretty. This color palette is just so beautiful. The brown, beiges, and reds, so pretty. So that would be really fun to see how that works up. And I have not worked with that yarn before. Other yarn, I'm moving through this fast because we got things to do. Other yarn that I got in the mail. This is really exciting. I ordered some yarn from Kimber's Cozy Creations, and this colorway is called Cup of Cheer. I think it's based on a Starbucks cup, maybe? But I got it in their DK base, which is Tough DK. Yeah, Tough DK 75-25 superwash merino and nylon base. And so I'm gonna make some DK weight socks with this. I am not sure what pattern. I know the blueberry waffle socks are on my list for May 23 and 2023, so I might make those. I might make something else. I don't really know, but I'm feeling DK weight socks because they would work up fast. I also got, this was really fun, I got their monthly club for January, and I don't know if there's like a theme that she's using, but the inspiration photo for January was an Aurora Borealis, and it was so beautiful. I also got some goodies with it. This is Aurora Borealis, so pretty, and she had names for these minis, but I can't remember what they are called. Maybe like coal, and this is like neon speckles. Super fun. You should see this yarn worked up. It is gorgeous. It looks exactly like an Aurora Borealis. So beautiful. And she also did a self-striping with these same colors in it. It's amazing. Like, I'm so sad I didn't buy it. So when she does a pre-order at the end of the year, that's on my list for sure to get the self-striping version of this. I think this would look really, really pretty worked up. I'm thinking I might do the daily socks by Summerly Knits because I love that pattern and I haven't made it in a long time, and so I want to make it again. I think it would look really good in this. And these 2 minis, whether or not I use them for this yarn, I'm not sure, because they are fingering weight, so I could use them for anything. They're really versatile, so that's really nice. And then she also sent, there's some stitch markers, there's a little baggie, there's a sticker, stitch markers, there's a little pin. I can't remember if there was some candy and I ate it already, probably. I can't remember. And then I'm just doing all these subscription-y things. Yarnable. I have never had a Yarnable subscription, but I always love the yarn they get. And I just found out that they sell their overstock on their website, Hypnotic Yarn. And so you can get Yarnable boxes after the fact. I don't know if it's cheaper to do it with the subscription or what, but amazing. So I got Winter Mint, which was their December color this past year, in Plush DK. So fun. They sent some saltwater taffy goodies, which is so fun. Super cool. I had no idea that you could buy extras from them, and they have other colors still. It's not just like the previous month, but they have other months as well, just whatever is their overstock, and you can buy with the goodies, without the goodies, both ways, just until they run out. And so super fun. I don't know when they would stock, but you should definitely check it out. And actually, I didn't know this. I can refer you as a friend. It's not like an affiliate or anything, but I can refer you and you get a discount, I get a discount for referring you. So there's a link down below in the description. So if you want to check out Yarnable, whether or not you do the actual subscription, which is only open certain times of year, I think, or whether you just buy some of the extras like what I did, there's a link there. So hopefully it'll help you out financially. I'll put the details more on the screen because I can't quite remember what the benefit is, but it's not an affiliate program. It's just like a refer a friend type of a program. So I'm including you all as my friends. So check out the link down below so that you can hopefully get a little bonus from shopping with Yarnable, because I thought that was really fun that you don't have to have a subscription and you can still shop their extras. Okay, I've kind of alluded to it, but life is getting busy right now because I just got a job. Yay! And it is honestly my dream job that I want right now, which is amazing. I have to work full time because of training for sure, but the job itself is a full-time position. So that's not ideal, I guess, because I would love to just do part-time or just like once a week working as a nurse, but I'm really excited. It is exactly the kind of position I'm looking for to further my career, to do things that I have enjoyed previously as a nurse, as well as growing in my skill set and in my qualifications. It is still working at the bedside with patients, which I really feel like I need more time to do that before I do a nurse practitioner program, which is in the future for me, I hope. And this job is not only going to give me bedside experience, but also it's a really great job for building up like my resume and experience for nurse practitioner school. So I feel really good, like career-wise, and where it puts me right now and helps me grow right now, as well as what it'll do for me in the future, like within nursing. It's just like all good things. I'm a little nervous about going back to work in general, but then also full-time. And I have to drive an hour to work. I say it's my dream job, but there are definitely some things that are not ideal about it. But that's why I'm still taking the job, because it is still my dream job enough that it's worth driving an hour both ways to go to, and it's worth working full time, even though that's not exactly what I want to do. I feel really good about it. And as a spiritual person, that makes a huge difference to me, that like I listen to my gut instinct and to what I'm feeling, and I feel really good about this opportunity. I'll be working full-time as a nurse. I'm not sure if it'll be more days or night shifts. My schedule's kind of still up in the air, and honestly, I might be switching between days and nights. I might be doing a lot of weekends. Probably will be doing a lot of weekends, honestly. And then working out like daycare for my daughter, which thankfully will only need to be part-time, but also we got to figure out where's a place that we can be, what their limitations are they open for someone her age? So there's just lots of details to figure out, and like with my schedule and daycare, there's lots of things. So hopefully that'll all get squared away this month as I'm starting my job in just a couple weeks. And hopefully we'll kind of get into a good groove of things. Things are going to change for our family, and that's exciting, but also really scary and stressful. So I hope that it'll be kind of a smoother transition than I'm worried about, you know? Like, it's not the way things usually are. Like, you usually worry that it's worse than it is, and then you go through it, and then it's not that bad. So that's what I'm hoping for, that we'll all kind of settle into a new routine pretty well. So that's exciting, but that'll take up a lot of time. So my goal for the next couple months is to do a podcast once a month and to have one other video throughout the month. So I'm definitely going to do like a video every other week, if not less frequently. We shall see kind of how things play out, but I'm really excited about that nursing opportunity, to get back into an ICU and to get the training to get brought up to speed again. I have 5 months experience in the ICU, and I didn't feel comfortable like just jumping right in again, especially with my break in not working for a little while after having Georgia. It's honestly ideal that they are doing the training to get me brought up to speed, but they also have a lot of confidence in me because of the experience I do have. So I think that it will not be like a fire hose, like trying to like learn everything, that it'll come back pretty easily as I am immersed in the intensive care unit again. That's the hope. So that's exciting, and things will be looking different, but I've been trying to get in all of my testing things now, and hopefully I'll be able to cast on some fun things before my job starts, so that when I do have time to work on things, that I have something simple to work on, that, you know, stockinette body of things, or some fun stripy socks, or, you know, not putting too much pressure on myself, just kind of seeing where the year goes. I also, this is not knitting related, but I did a puzzle. It only took me an evening. I had so much fun. I did a puzzle with a friend not too long ago, a few months ago, before I moved here to Utah, because I don't have friends here yet. We've only been here for 2 months, but a few months ago with a friend, I worked on a puzzle and I loved it, and I hadn't done a puzzle in so long, and so it made me want to try puzzles. So I bought a puzzle. I actually did it really fast because it was so fun, and I'll show a little cutaway so you can see what the final puzzle looks like. I didn't take it apart yet because I wanted to show you, but this is like what it looks like. It's from Gajillion. And I'll link it down below. I found it on Amazon. Their aesthetic for their puzzles is exactly what I'm looking for. Just kind of a little bit artistic and a little bit whimsical. And so really fun. So here is what it is. There's 9 different kitty cats with all the different flowers. So it was really easy to just separate out all the different pieces based on like which, not quadrant, but like which of the 9 sections it was in. It was really easy to separate out and then do like a small section at a time. So super great beginner friendly puzzle that worked up really fast. It's only a 500 piece puzzle too. So I'm looking for a 1,000 piece puzzle to kind of up the ante, if you will. So I'm doing a little shopping for that because that would be really fun. Though I don't really have a good space to work on. So I might have to get some like MDF or like something to like hold like a puzzle board so that I can work on a puzzle, because it will probably take me longer than an evening if I do another puzzle that's not quite as easy to start with and that also has more pieces. What kind of crafty and like hobby type things do you do that are not fiber art related? Because I love to hear. Super fun. I had a lot of fun with that. It's really methodical. I enjoyed that. I enjoy it a lot. So that was something fun I did. Other news for this past month. Like I said, we went to New York, and while the weather was not phenomenal, it was very wet. So it wasn't even a lot of snow to like play in, because Georgia would have loved that. But it was really rainy and windy and just kind of bleh. So kind of got sick of being outside. But we did a couple fun things. We went to the Audubon Society, had a reserve that we went to. We went and looked at birds. And we didn't stay outside for super long, but they had a building with some like taxidermy and like a gift shop and stuff. But they also had some windows looking out over their bird feeders in this little meadow area. And there were tons of birds, and we could watch them from inside. It was almost a better view than being outside next to the bird feeders. So it was super cool. We saw lots of really interesting birds, and it's just been really fun. My husband got to try out his new binoculars he got for Christmas. We had a lot of fun with that. We went to the botanical gardens up in Buffalo, or like West Seneca maybe, I'm not sure, but they were really beautiful. There was lots of cool succulents. They had a room that Georgia could play in that had like one of those giant plastic Connect 4 type of games. So it had like a good like break for her to be able to play and stuff. Lots of really beautiful plants and things. And I'm really excited to do some gardening when the weather gets nicer and to have some plants in our home. I got to figure out what's safe for our cat, because he will probably try to eat things. So I got to figure out, you know, good spots to put things where he won't bother them as much, how to keep the plants safe, cat safe plants in general. Got to figure out some things, but I have some ideas mulling around in my brain on some things I want to do for our home to have some plants, especially succulents. My husband's going to work on a succulent box for me, which we put one together in Texas. So that was a couple moves ago. I finally like planted them all right before we moved so that I could like have one thing to give to a friend so that she could take it. I just like didn't follow through and like fill up the succulent box until we were about to move. So this time I'm really excited to have a succulent box to really handpick the plants I want to have in it. That was a really long tangent, but that was something that we did. Is we went to the botanical gardens. We spent lots of time just hanging out. We played some games. My mom and I went to the yarn store. We did a little bit of other shopping, just kind of chill. My family is more introverted and reserved and does a lot more personal hobbies. So it's not uncommon for like my mom to be reading a book, my dad's playing on the computer, my brother's on his computer, my other brother is watching TV, and I'm like crocheting at the table, and then my husband is looking around like, what do I do? Because his family is much more social as a unit, and my family is much more like do our own thing. So definitely very different feel spending time with his family versus my family. And I do love my family, and it is nice, and I have learned to entertain myself by myself because of my family. Hence why I do fiber crafts, right? So it was a nice break, but it definitely felt really good to be home. Finally got settled in. It's been about a week and a half since we've been home. We're finally getting into the groove of things, though my job is starting in just a week or two, so we'll get thrown off again pretty soon here. But I can't think of anything else really exciting that we've been working on. Honestly, that's kind of about it. But January went by pretty fast because we had a trip right in the middle of it, and so that really helped. February is like the worst month because everyone is so sick of winter and everything's just really bleh. So I'm hoping that with starting my new job and figuring out details with like daycare and stuff, that things will also move pretty quickly so that we can get into the spring, because I'm really excited for the weather to be nicer. I'm very much sick of shoveling the snow. Oh, I guess I have been doing a little bit of reading. I read most of the, oh crap, potty training method. Oh, that's a thing. We are starting potty training this weekend. I'm feeling good about like our plan of action, and I feel like George is ready, though for this next week or so, things might be a little rough. So hopefully we can kind of have the right outlook and make it a good time and not put too much pressure on ourselves or our daughter. And I think it'll work out okay. So I read most of that book because it's definitely in like sections. You read the sections you want to read, kind of set up. So read that book. I finished the next Bridgerton book that I was listening to. It was Francesca's story. I didn't like the beginning of it. There was just a lot of tension because so it's just like, I didn't like that tension. I didn't really like it at the beginning, but the last 80% of the book, I really enjoyed it. So I've just started Hyacinth's story, so making some progress there. I read The Princess Academy. It was a book that I loved growing up. It's by Shannon Hale. I read it again just as some really easy YA fiction to read, and I really enjoyed it. I definitely forgot some of the things, so it was nice to reread it, and it's part of a trilogy. So I read the second book, also loved it, started the third book, and did not enjoy the start, so I kind of put it down and I haven't read it again, but I do want to finish it, and it won't take too long, so I should just read it because I'm sure it'll get better. Love the first book and the second book, so definitely recommend those. I feel like I read something else, but now I can't remember. Okay, I remembered. The last book I read is called Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Loved it. Oh my goodness, I loved it. And I honestly really enjoy books that like books about people who like books, or books that are about people involved in like publishing. Like I really enjoy those style of books. Book inception, I guess, the meta-ness of it all. So I really enjoyed it. I really loved the progression of the relationship. It was just really fun. I really enjoyed it. There was a little bit of a twist in there. A little cheesy, you know, it's a romance, but I really, really liked it. I love how the book didn't take itself too seriously. It did a lot of poking fun at tropes and things like that I really enjoyed. I like Emily Henry's stuff. I've read People We Meet on Vacation, and I enjoy that one too a lot. And I really enjoy Book Lovers, so I definitely need to read another one of hers because she's got a handful, and I know that there's another one coming out this year. Definitely some spice in there, like Bridgerton. I think definitely less spice than Bridgerton, but they're fairly close on the same level, and I enjoyed it. Sometimes you just like spicy novels. I don't know. I'm in the mood for spicy novels, so that's what I've been reading. I really did enjoy it, and I read about half of it on the airplane ride back from New York. Fairly quick read. Every time I picked it up, I did not want to put it down. It was the kind of book I tried to read like a chapter or two every night, and I would stay up an extra hour or two because I just couldn't stop myself. I really enjoyed it. If you have any other recommendations based on the books I'm reading, things that you like, let me know down below, because recommendations and like seeing what other people read is really where I get ideas for what to read. So let me know. I definitely want to do more reading, especially since I'm driving an hour to and from work every day to decompress, I will definitely need to have some audiobooks on the go. Thank you so much for being here. I really love chatting with you and sharing what I'm working on, and I'm excited to see kind of where the next month takes me with my making, as well as other life stuff as I start a full-time job again, which is daunting and exciting and all the feelings. Let me know down below what you're working on, and if you have any comments on what I've been working on and maybe new yarns that I have that you've tried out. Also, don't forget the Wonderland Hat pattern has been released, so you can check that out. And there's definitely a discount, no coupon code needed, on both Ravelry and Etsy, so make sure to check that out. Until next time, happy making. Bye!